Okay, go ahead, Marcus.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you for putting on this wonderful event today, CWU Rawrz with Pride. And thank you for attending my workshop. This workshop is going to highlight life's forks and how you can truly become your authentic self. This is important to me because being your authentic self really does bring true beauty to your life, and you're able to move forward with decisions without being bombarded by um, not knowing yourself truly, and really just being really gentle to yourself. Being your true self really does help provide a better life and a better attitude, and also you can deep dive into your feelings. So all right, let's move on to the next. So a little bit about me is that I am from Seattle, Washington. I grew up in the south part of Seattle, Washington. My parents have been together for about 44 years. They're still together today. I have two brothers and sisters. I'm sorry, two brothers and one sister, and I have a very big family, so four nieces and nephews, and as well as my mom and dad come from a lineage of large families, and so I have a century of like finding yourself just through those two very powerful families. And my dad is from Texas, and so he's got a very big personality. And my mom's from the Northwest, so she's very like nice, but then very direct. So I got both of them in me. I'm a senior in supply chain management here at CWU, so I'm really into supply chain and understanding how that works. Diversity in supply chain is my main goal and where I want to kind of land. But um, I've been married for about 5 years, and he is wonderful to me. And I also love Ivers. I mean, I'm not sure if anyone knows Ivers, but I love Ivers. So fish and chips go all the way for me. um, as an older guy, I like to respect safe space. I'm 43 years old, so I've been through a lot to understand myself, to know that safe space is a really good way to kind of express your feelings and know that you're in a space that all can really um, bring forth, true feelings, and no one's gonna ever, feel, um, I don't know, out of place or anything. So this space, you're safe. Please, open your mic up whenever you want to speak, and I have no problem stopping in mid paragraph to hear what you guys say. It's a very small group today, so we can definitely go for it. So just remember to be respectful and positive. Only share what you want to share. Mute your mic if you can, but when you want to talk, please unmute and start speaking. And please just participate, in this room. So let's see. So what we're going to do is we're going to just talk about what a fork in the road is. Everyone knows what a fork in the road is, right? It's the moment in life where you make that one decision. You're like, do I go left or right? Do I go to, a friend's house tonight, or do I go out to the movies? Those are not really a really good definition of a fork in the road. But for me, a fork in the road was, do I become my authentic self at a young age, or do I become my, I guess, stuff that I wish people would kind of get used to. So if I'm, getting into like a set mind of something that's not really me, that's a fork in the road decision that I decided not to make. I decided to be authentic at a very young age. So I decided to come out at a young age, but I also decided to keep that a secret for a little while, until I figured that it was a better age to come across. But I think a fork in the road for me moment was when I was older. I had to decide whether I wanted to go to college or pursue an education. So this fork in the road is identified to me as like almost like a very important fork in the road. It tells me that this decision was the decision that made who I am and how I can become more authentic. College education at the time when I made it wasn't really important to me, but seeking support, supporting myself and a job that I can during the San Francisco.com era was attractive. And I decided to move down to San Francisco and pursue a career down there without a college education, which was actually kind of easy at the time. But nowadays is way different story. So that was 2002. So hate to age myself, but yeah, it was definitely a wonderful experience to just go down there, make some friends, make some money, but then realize that this fork in the road is going to lead me to other forks in the road. Um, so let me just ask the question: what do you guys think would be a fork in the road moment for you? What's a fork in the road moment that would pretty much describe like how you feel now? Posing the question to the group. What do you think?
I think career change, that was a big fork in the road for me, was deciding which way. I thought I was going to start off on one path, and then a question came up and put me on a fork, and then I went down that path, and then another question came up and it led me to another fork. So I feel like I've had all these like little forks in the road moments that actually led me to this point.
Yeah, it's funny how these mini forks in the road really do get you to a pivotal moment to make major decisions, especially like decisions that are adults. You know, they're so like, you know, I don't feel young anymore. I feel like I'm getting older, and this decision making process is getting to a certain degree where I have to be responsible now and really like take forth, you know, what's going to happen in the future if I make this decision now. So yeah, there's also benchmark forks. So we're going to get into more of that framework. Benchmark fork in the roads are definitely forks in the road that provide like a pivotal moment, something like Michelle just mentioned, and you know that this moment is going to change your life for the good or for the bad. Many people have bad experiences, many people have good experiences. My experience is great. When I decided to marry my husband, that's a fork in the road. I think at one point he didn't really put it out there, but I felt that if I didn't get married to this man at some point, he's just going to be like, all right, well, I'm going to find someone else to marry. So I really put on myself to really, you know, come into myself and understand that like this is a decision I need to make, and when I'm comfortable making it, I'll let them know. But also that this is a benchmark fork in the road for me. This is for love, and this is for, you know, advancement in my adulthood, and having that best friend there all the time. So
Marcus, Kathy put in the chat that moving America by herself at 17 was, I think that's a benchmark. Wouldn't that be one?
yeah, I mean that's a major benchmark for. I mean, really, like moving to a different country would be a benchmark for anyone. I mean, going to a different country and not knowing how to, you know, speak their language or even know how things run. I mean, it's you know, you're going to run against a lot of like, just like, how do I get out of this and how do I make it work? So um, yeah, that's an awesome one. And another one someone mentioned was when they're doing their coming out process, they decided to just kind of stay hidden inside instead of coming out. And I know this person genuinely, and I hope for him to come out, but that's a decision for him to make, and that fork in the road is coming to him. But I just think that like he needs more time to really figure it out, and I know the reason. I think it's more something to do with, you know, religion and understanding where you're coming from and your roots. So different forks in life. There's different forks in life, right? So I told you a little bit about my story. I came out to myself as a young guy, 12 years old. I came out publicly at 15. And my benchmark fork would be 12 years old, just making a decision young and then sticking with my gut. In fact, in the 90s, it was an AIDS epidemic, and the stigma of coming out was very strong. And I think that kind of powered me to go forth in my decision at that age. I knew that people were being treated wrong, and those people were like me. It took me a little while to pair the two, but once I figured it out, I knew that like I had to kind of make a stance. And even at that age of 12, I was like, I'm gay. And my mom was like, I don't think you know what that means. And like, yes, I do. So at 15, I publicly came out because I just wanted to stick that to the world. Like, this is who I am. I'm no longer going to hide. And from this point on, at age 15, I'm making this decision to say that I am a proud gay man. So at 19, I decided to pursue that fork in the road with going to San Francisco and figuring out work instead of college. So, you know, those fork in the roads make up who I am now, but they're very pivotal moments in my life. Later in my life, I met Graham, my future husband. He'll be on the phone call later on, but not with this workshop, but with the next workshop. But he's super fun and just beautiful. And we got married 5 years ago, and at age 37, I think that's when I knew that I had to make a decision to really take this love thing seriously and really go forth with it. And I think once I made that decision, that fork in the road opened up another fork in the road. Do I go back to school? Do I make myself better for this guy? Do I continue, advancing myself for me personally, or just for just in general? And I think all of the emotions kind of swirled around in one giant pot. And being a Black gay man, Native American as well, 40 years old, married, I think it was time to really just up the ante in my life and make it really kind of fun and less stressful. I think the stress was coming from not being true to myself. And I think I wanted to go to college and I really wanted to pursue college when I was younger, but I think figuring out other things was more important at that time. And then meeting my husband. So meeting him, he opened that door up and really kind of, he's trusted me to throw myself to my college career and really come out the other end golden. So with that, I decided to um, pursue, a more active role in bettering myself. And a couple of worksheets have helped me out along that way. This worksheet is the visual worksheet. This one is basically, it's giving me 4 images that tell me there's different forks in the roads in life for you. So choose one of these pictures to kind of represent what fork in the road was challenging for you, and kind of write about it in my journal and give me some perspective of how I felt at that time making this decision. So the first one in the corner is the growth um, fork in the road, and it's a beautiful picture of a tree, and it's got the sunset, it's got the fork kind of going off into a distance. There's no threat about this picture. It feels like I'm going into like a growth state. Next picture would be the hidden challenge picture, the picture with the leaves. And this picture I think represent more of my fork in the road. Some of the road is definitely going to be kind of covered, but then the other road's clear as day, which way I should want to go and which way I should go. So of course I would take the right road, and it's more clear. I think I'm okay with not knowing what's ahead of me, but I'm very much clear on where I should go. I mean, it's quite laid out for me. The next one would be the toss-up. The hike in the middle of a forest with a hiking trail that's a little kind of buried, gives you a chance to kind of express yourself a little bit more. Like, how do I make this decision without knowing what's going to happen? I think everyone thinks that at the end of a trail is a wonderful waterfall or a great camping site, but these 2 pathways lead to something that's unknown, and along the way your path's going to get a little rocky. It's going to get you muddy. It's going to keep you kind of working hard. So that's what this one is. It's kind of a toss up. Which way are you going to go? Either way would be great, but you just don't know which way you're going to go. So the last one is a more strategic choice. I mean, this is quite apparent. There is a dark road and there's a light road. And I think when people are making decisions on how to, approach a situation that is life or death, or financially going to get them into a prosperous position, or whatever the case may be, this kind of represents that choice making. And almost like, it's almost too easy to make a choice if you see clear as day that one choice is better than the other. For instance, someone going to jail, obviously they had a bad day, and robbing a bank may not have been a good choice, but who knows what the other choice would have been for them. They decided to go the darker way, which is robbing a bank, and now they're in jail. So I think having a strategic choice laid out from you is perfect to just approach and use something like these visuals to help guide you, and write about it. When you get done making a decision, write about it, and then come back months later, a year later, and write about it some more and reflect on what that benchmark, or I'm sorry, that fork in the road has done for you. So that's my worksheet for the visuals. I will include it into a packet, but which of these forks speak to you, as far as like your journey through life? And I'm just going to ask you, Kathy, when you came to America and at the age of 17, which fork kind of represents that emotion that you um, kind of came across?
Um, well, I somehow see a little bit of everything, but I would say probably hidden challenges.
Yeah.
I think that I resonate with that one more.
Yeah, I agree. Hidden challenges are worth walking as well. It's like that path is like it just rewarding. You go for it, and at the very end of that path is something great, And I think personally, like I said, I represent that one as well. That one's my go-to. So just know that like at the end of this path was a great reward. And so there's another fork in the road, but this one particular one, it's a great path to walk. So, and Michelle, what about you?
Definitely the challenging.
Yeah.
I never made life easy for myself. So, uh, yeah, I didn't realize that some of the decisions I made would have some of those hidden challenges. But I think, but I utilized all of these, I mean, because some of the toss-up ones that I did went to the hidden challenge, or
Gotcha.
when I thought I was making a strategic choice, and then I kind of grew in a different way professionally. So it was kind of like, I feel like my forks have all just been kind of like this, intertwined
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah.
between the four, because life is so complicated.
And that's wonderful. I think at this moment in time when you realize those benchmark photos or those benchmark forks, those would be great to kind of look back on and kind of match up these visual aids on, especially when it comes to growth. When we were younger, the growth one was so like kind of we just kind of like seen it coming and we just kind of took it so naively because we're so young. But really you look back and those growth spurts are really important, and those fork in the road moments are almost faded a little bit when you get older. But that's, like I said, for me to make a choice at when I was a young age, 12 years old, that's an imprint in my brain, and I know I can't get over that because that was like such a crazy moment for me. But later on, I decided not to, get my license until 18 years old, and I decided to, vote for the first time when my friends didn't do that. So those are all like wonderful forks in the road, strategic forks, growth forks. So yeah, I like to challenge everyone to use these visual aids to get yourself aligned with your forks in the road, because they really do help with decision making in the future.
Mhm.
So the forks worksheet is something I put together, and it's really kind of a way for you to utilize those visual aids. Just list the age of when the fork happened. Kind of talk about what it was, and then kind of go into the fork represent. Is it growth? Is it like, and why was it growth? Talk about if there's a strategic choice, what kind of choice did you make, and how was it strategic? How did it work out for you at the very end? These are short lines, of course, they're not meant for you to write full paragraphs, but really like challenge yourself to not write full paragraphs, but just really get down to the nitty gritty, like write a sentence that really does fully engage into what the fork represents. And if you can really juice down the lemon to one concentrate of one line, think about that, how that really challenges your brain and what that fork represents. Um, I was going to do some examples, but I don't think I have enough time. I'm just going to kind of go through it. But on a scale of 1 to 10, kind of rate that fork and how hard the decision was. Not every single fork is going to be a bullseye, like that was really you. But having a fork that was like 8 or 6 is perfect, because it's just about, on the line of authenticity. So yeah, just challenge yourself to really be truly authentic to yourself when you rate your fork and how hard the decision was. Um, and with that, the forks in the road are definitely meant to be, explained. So explain your fork in the road and why you rated it. I mean, rating it is going to be hard to do, but go ahead and explain why you rated that rating, and why wasn't it not a 10? Why didn't it reach that full authentic 10 on the bullseye board? So yeah, this is all part of the packet that you can request. So the other part of the packet that comes along that comes in the package is this questionnaire. The questionnaire is set to kind of gear you towards thinking about how you can coach yourself into being truly authentic. Creativity, your voice, self-compassion, contributions. These are all things that help you focus on who you are, and writing it down really does help you see yourself on paper and see your own handwriting, your own um, feelings, jot it down at that time. And self-coaching yourself really does help reach a level of authentic behavior. So, and I'm sorry for going through this too fast, but I think for the most part, forks in the road, everyone really goes through all of them, kind of the same way. There's two choices, maybe three choices, maybe four choices. These forks matter for everyone. When you're young, when you're old, they matter for financial, they matter for love, they matter for all these wonderful things that could come for you if you make a right decision. But the decision is not like always a right decision. It's really based on how you feel, what's the right decision. And going back on those visual aids, make sure you use those visual aids to kind of gear you up to a good decision moment. Good decisions, you get benefits, like you get the family effects, you get self-discovery, love. The picture of me and my husband and his mom in the corner, she's so sweet. I love her. She has loved us since the very beginning. She's loved our relationship. And I think just having a true authentic behavior and us being in love, people attract themselves to that. And so these decision makings that I've made when I was younger are having full effects now as an older man, and as well as being just true to myself. So, and this is Grant's brother, this is his wife, it's my family in the middle, and it's my king picture. But yeah, for the most part, tips, tricks, just have a second opinion. Don't make a decision without having some understanding of if the decision is actually really what you want to do. Check in with your friends, and also have a sanity check with your friends. That talk to them about your real true feelings. Make sure you don't feel like you're going off the beaten path with decision making or whatnot. And sleep on the decision making. Just make sure you're when you're making that benchmark decision in your life, just sleep on it. Really, it doesn't take more than a couple of seconds to make a decision, but if you sleep on it, you give yourself more time to just kind of marinate and make sure you make the right decision, and then say yes. And then also keep some information to yourself. You don't need to release everything to the world, but just go for it. If you want to keep stuff to yourself, go for it. But if you want to let people know everything, there's also ways of doing that. Disperse it here and there, but just keep some information to yourself. It'll help with that sanity check I was talking about earlier. And in conclusion, there's I personally think that having LGBTQ friends and alliances help with your authentic self, especially for young people deciding to come out or understand themselves in this light. Coming out is really hard, and it's really kind of in a magical moment for people, and also it's also a benchmark moment for people as far as forks in the road. So if you know anyone coming out, just be nice to them, and if you're coming out yourself, just love yourself and go for it. Don't be afraid. So any questions or at all?
Thank you, Marcus. I have a question. Now that you are graduating, or graduated, I should say, from
no, I'm
Central.
graduating in December. Yeah.
Yeah. What is your next fork in the road?
Well, thank you for asking. I will actually be making the decision to move to Florida. It's not a decision I want to make by myself. I had to, of course, the reason why I want to move to Florida is for family, and Grant's family lives down there, and we want kind of a cheaper way of living, I guess. Just different combinations of feelings with that. But me personally, I have lived on the West Coast all my life. I spent a couple of years in Florida. I came back to the West Coast, but I think I just need a change of pace. And moving from Washington State to Florida, I've done before, so it's nothing new. But I think moving down there, starting a new kind of path, that new fork in the road, this one's going to be strategic, definitely, because I think that having a true understanding of where you want to go is really important. And this idea has been in the back of my mind and has always been kind of present as like a thing we should do. But and also his mom and dad are older, so we want to be closer to them and make sure that they're able to call us and we can just not spend a full day flying down there, for $2,000. So I think being close to them, and also Jacksonville is a hub for logistics, and so that's where I want to go as far as like I want to land in a logistics part of from the supply chain industry. So hanging out with at a port city other than Seattle is my goal. Otherwise, it would have been Seattle, but I had to go back to kind of think about the plan. And I love Seattle, it's my hometown, but I think I'm more distracted here than I would be in California or anywhere else, because it's my hometown. I'm constantly running around and making sure that people are happy and doing things with people and meeting up with my old friends from high school. Like I think I'm ready to just kind of like, all right, let's go to the East Coast and let's do some exploring. And so yeah, that's definitely my next fork in the road.
Mm.
I can see it hasn't happened yet, but it's fully forming. And I'm excited to move, but I'm also scared because it's Florida.
Yeah, it's always the unknowns, right?
Hot down there as bugs, and so it's a whole different world.
One more question for you. We have 1 minute left.
Yeah.
What could we do over here for the center students, do you feel, that would show either more support, more education, more opportunities for our LGBTQIA plus communities?
I think having a set schedule throughout the year of events, bringing in representation, like someone like Richard or Christy later on, would be perfect every once in a while, maybe every quarter. And even something virtual, if it's recorded or whatnot. I think that just having a presence is so important. And that's why I decided to, come forth and help out and do what I can. So I think that having representation at the school is one thing, but then having actively doing something to like prevent anything from happening as far as like people coming out, or just having a safe space is probably the most important thing. But having that safe space kind of reintroduce every quarter and let people know that they're safe and that they can go to any kind of counseling office and come out safely, or they could volunteer, or their allies can volunteer without being attacked on or whatnot. So I think having these type of events annually is perfect. We should always do them annually, but we should also like learn to implement more activities throughout the year, fun activities, but also learning activities, and as well as involving the other groups. I mean, there's like how Richard talked about the other groups that they have. What do you call them?
Affinity group.
Infinities groups, yeah. And just having a partnership with those groups to let them know. I know you have other pride people in your groups, so just let them know that there's these resources, and that and then even like having a couple of events that are kind of crossing the paths, like Richard mentioned, having the Glamazon and Amazon, African Americans work together, and they're trying to target that minority group of Black trans women. So like having like a handout, to people who will educate people, just even having the definitions of what cisgendered is, and what trans people go through to get to a full like those kind of handouts every quarter, something they can download, or even in person, someone handing them out on campus. Those kind of like they really do reach the audience of our students. And especially now we have a whole nest of students who are coming in who are new, and they're going to be looking for these resources, you know, and I personally was looking for a resource for adults, you know, adult uh, LGBTQ people. So, you know, people like me, you and I personally don't want to go to like a 19-year-old group, but I'd rather go to, you know, a group that's got like, you know, the adults. So,
Yeah, and both Ashley and I love that idea of the handouts that we can incorporate on our center campuses. Okay, well, thank you so much. I know the time went by so fast, Marcus, and I want to thank you and voice our appreciation for you being here today and doing this workshop for us. And
of course, no
and
problem.
thank everybody who's going to watch this video.